What's going on, everybody? My name is Jack Kelly, host of Point to the Spot, a US-based podcast focused on the world of football. Joining me today, as always, my entirely bonkers friend, Reed Hammond. Reed, how are you?
Word that comes to mind is caffeinated. Invested in a coffee maker.
Muted himself. Reed, how are you? Andrew, can you hear him?
No.
Yeah, he's gone dead on us. Nothing ever goes right when we're in a hurry.
That clean 30 minutes.
Oh, how you doing, boy?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. Dude, the audio quality on you right now, it's so pure. It's like you're sitting next to me.
Or maybe I usually sit next to you and you just imagine me there.
That's true. I'm just going to scooch over a little bit in the frame. And pretend as if you were accompanying me.
We should talk shit about Reed because he can't respond.
Reed, where did you go? Why is your audio not working? He scores when he wants. He scores when he wants. Reed Hammond. He scores when he wants. That black and white style makes the ladies go wild. Reed Hammond. He scores when he wants. Can you talk again? Nope. Okay, Reed, you should leave and come back because clearly you broke the technology. That black and white style. It's so perfect.
I was very proud of that. Oh, guess who's A, doing the chug off, and B, giving the hype speech on Saturday?
You are? My man.
It's not going to go well. I need to practice for the chug off.
Oh, yeah, you just got to buy a 2-liter of soda and do some work on it.
There he goes.
Hey, he's back.
Okay, yeah, adjust my audio level because I think you just turned it down.
No, you just stop. You muted yourself mid-thing and then stopped talking.
Oh, this is strange. All right, attempt number 2.
Anyways, 5, 4, 3. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jack Kelly, host of Point to the Spot, a US-based podcast focused on the world of football. Joining me today, as always, my entirely bonkers friend, Reed Hammond. Reed, how are you?
I think the word that comes to mind is caffeinated. Invested in a coffee maker for the last home stretch of the school semester. Feel good. Electric.
Good. Uni has been known to get the best of us all. Also joining the show today, a future presidential candidate, Ball for Prez 2020. I can't stand Donald Trump's America, Andrew Ball. Andrew, how are you?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to think if I screwed up your introduction there or not.
No. I think it was on point.
I think I just said it much slower than I normally do. Well, boys, it was an interesting and kind of wild midweek with Champions League matches, questionable refereeing, Brighton and Hove Albion being promoted to the Premier League, Lyon and Besiktas being handed bans from UEFA competitions. There's a lot going on. But I think the place that we have to start, Tuesday's Champions League matches, Real Madrid 4, Bayern Munich 2. Of course, they blew through 3 past Bayern in the extra time period. Cristiano Ronaldo was offsides on 1, potentially 2 of them. Andrew, how do you feel about Bayern getting screwed? Or do you think that Madrid was going to be too much for them anyways, given the way that the match is going, Bayern being down to 10 men?
Well, another questionable call, Real should have been down to 10 men too.
I think Casemiro should not have been on the pitch.
He should have seen a second yellow for that on that penalty decision. Yeah, you get the feeling that if this goes to extra time, Bayern were screwed no matter what because they were just gassed at the end of 90 minutes. But they got to feel hard done, and I think that Real probably was the better side across the 2 legs. But Bayern showed plenty in that away leg to make you feel like they deserve to go through, So I think that they
when I think it was Thomas Mueller who said, it was 14 against 11. This is one of those times when I think that's a reasonable take, not just sour grapes from a team that was going to crash out anyway. I think Bayern could have easily gone through.
And my favorite thing about European sports is that they can talk trash about the referees without facing a fine. I do think that Bayern looked good in the first 90 minutes, but just absolutely gassed in that final 30 additional minutes. Marcelo went through the entire team like a hot knife through butter without anybody coming within like 6-7 inches of the ball to set up Ronaldo's hat-trick goal, I want to say. I do think that Madrid would have gone through. I think they would have found a goal even if Ronaldo would have been flagged off sides on the first one. Reed, what do you take away from this? Cristiano Ronaldo getting another hat-trick under questionable circumstances, 100th goal in the Champions League. Is he the best? Where do you put him, player to play in the Champions League ever?
Honestly, over the last 2 years, I think we've seen a sharp decline in his abilities because he's not the player he once was. He's not the player that built him this name. Goal scorer, but so is Jermaine Defoe. I think he's got a really good positional sense to him, and I think he's one of the most physically imposing players the game's ever seen. But he's not up to what he used to be, and I think no one talks about that because his goals aren't from beautiful individual efforts. They're from him having a good sense of finishing and a beautiful team behind him. Anyone has to worry about this.
Go ahead, Reed. Sorry.
I think if anyone has to worry about this, it's got to be, Karim Benzema worrying about that central striking role rather than, Lionel Messi or Pele worried about all-time supremacy.
Do you think Madrid goes on to Real Madrid goes on to win the Champions League then? Do you think we're going to get another Atleti versus Real final? I mean, it depends on the draw, which comes tomorrow, but I mean, they just look like they can't be beat in some ways. And it's kind of been that way the entire season for them. Same thing with El Clasico coming this weekend. If they beat Barcelona, the La Liga title is as good as theirs.
Well, it's kind of the same thing I was saying a couple pods ago, that there's no tactical mind behind this team. It's just a team of individuals who just they're Galacticos again. Like a couple years ago, under Ancelotti, they had a sense to them. They were playing with a tactical mind. And there was an identity to them. And now they're just, 11 players who sometimes put the ball into the back of the net. So I think they're a cohesive unit in a very strange way. And I think a team like, I don't see them getting past Juventus in either, if it's semifinal or final. I think that team has to be the favorite to win it.
Andrew, who do you have as your favorite to go on and win the Champions League for this year?
I agree with Reed. I think it's Juventus, but I also think a team like Monaco would really do Real in, because I think that'd be a fun tie. The established power Real versus the young upstart team Monaco. And I agree with you, Reed. I think Real is kind of coasting on the fact that they have 11 exceptional players on the pitch. You don't get that sense of cohesion and unity that you get with Monaco or even Juventus. And I think that would, Monaco they play for each other. They play because they're all this band of young guys who have come up together. And I think that would be an interesting dynamic if you were to see a Monaco Real semifinal. We don't know what the draw is going to be, but I think that would be an especially fun thing to see. I'm really hoping not for a Real Atleti final, because I don't think anyone really wants to see that again for like the 5th time. And not literally the 5th time, I'm exaggerating, but it's like, it feels like every other year that's the final we get. And it'd be fun to see different teams in there.
Yeah, well, personally, I'm gonna go out on a limb a little bit. 3 of the 4 teams left in the tournament, very established powerhouses. Of course, Juventus playing in the final 2 years ago, Atleti and Real Madrid playing in the final 2 of the last 3 years against one another. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Monaco to win the tournament. I think that if they avoid Juve in the semifinal draw, where they don't have to play them over 2 legs, they'll be able to get past either of the Madrids. And then it only takes, a flash of brilliance from Mbappe in the final against Juventus to peg a goal, or, Falcao remembering how to play football, which has been happening in the Champions League, but not really anywhere else this season. To get them
How about that? He's had a good year.
Yeah, but
I
like,
take to say Falco hasn't been very good in Liga.
yeah, I mean,
And also, Jack, how much Liga have you watched this year?
I've actually watched like 4 matches. It brings my all-time Ligue 1 watching to 4 matches. But yeah, I like Monaco to go on to win the tournament. I think they're fun and exciting, and I think traditionally we've seen teams that are like that. Just there's something about them that makes them do well. I think back to that Dortmund side that lost to Bayern in the final, kind of took that charge all the way to the end. Anyways, let's move on. Barcelona, literally can't be any more literal than this, falling flat on their faces against Juventus. They had so many chances to get back in it at the new camp. Why were they unable to break down that that back line that looked, to some extent, a little shambolic in the first half? Reed, what do you make of that?
I don't know. You're never going to beat an Italian over 2 legs, to be fair. But they just didn't quite have the impotence. There's something in that with Luis Enrique leaving at the end of the season. I think there's larger issues that we're not seeing that is causing him to leave, rather than just the pressure of expectation.
Andrew, would you say that Barcelona not being able to break down Juventus's back, is it a bigger deal that Barcelona couldn't finish their chances, or that Juventus, managed to scramble the ball around enough times so that Barcelona didn't score?
Oh, it's absolutely that Juventus was able to fend off Barcelona. I think, you expect Barcelona had to have waves upon waves of attack. Juventus knew this was coming. It wasn't like anyone, it wasn't like a state secret that Barcelona were going to have to attack the hell out of this game. But I think that, Juventus did what Reed always alludes to, that, they hold firm. Their Italian side, they're made of this tough stuff that sees them through. And, that'll do them well, I think, against a team like Real in the semis or in the final. So I think it's absolutely, Juventus. I don't think that they were in quite as disarray as you alluded to earlier. I think just Barcelona from the get-go had to be on the front foot, and it took into this match. But I never got the feeling we're ever going to go through. Do
you think if they would have gotten a
Juventus,
goal, let's say 25 minutes in, that would have put Juventus a little bit more on edge?
Perhaps, but I still think they're such a veteran, experienced side that they wouldn't have been. Like PSG feels the pressure when they step on the pitch in those situations in a way that Juventus doesn't, just because of historical and, I think also just the atmosphere in the dressing room,
No, absolutely.
No, I never really felt like.
Absolutely. This game was also wide open because Barcelona was pressing so high. Juventus had many a chance to score on the counter and didn't really capitalize by, making that final killer pass within the box.
I think it was just to wrap up. I think it was definitely just what did you just do? Nice.
Yeah, I tried to mute myself to cough and I muted you by accident. Just start with to wrap up.
Yeah. Just to wrap up the tie. Even with Messi missing that big chance, even if that would have gone in, we'll just cut it. Fuck it. Onward.
One final thought from these match weeks. Mbappe again scoring in the 3rd minute against Dortmund. Dortmund, I don't know, had a chance, but really didn't get the fair shout that they wanted to in this because of the situations that they had to play in last week. But my question for you two, Reed, where will Mbappe be playing football next season?
South of France.
And Andrew?
Not Arsenal. No, I think he stays in Monaco. I mean, I think there's no reason for a lot of these Monaco guys to leave unless they're dead set on playing in England. I mean, Monaco are a big club. I mean, they're not a buying club. They're still a selling club because there are only 5 buying clubs in the world. but they're going to win Liga. They're obviously going to Champions League football next year, and they're obviously going to be competitive in it. I see no reason if you're Mbappe to up and leave.
Yeah.
Or Lamar or Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, because like what can Chelsea promise you that Monaco can't? League titles? Okay, why? Well, a metropolitan city? Well, Paris or Monaco is perhaps one of the most metropolitan cities in the world. There's no
better climate.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing that you can really promise those kids who came up through the Monaco Youth Academy that they can't get in Monaco.
No, I mean, I agree. I expect Mbappe to stay in Monaco. There's no reason. He's 18. They're going to pay him a shit ton of money when he signs a new contract. Why would you leave? You get to live in the south of France. Questionable laws because Monaco is a city-state. Like, why would you leave?
No taxes. It's beautiful.
Anyways, guys, we're going to take a short break. When we come back in part 2 of the show, we're going to be discussing Brighton and Hove Albion's return to the Premier League. A kind of a wild fashion. So stick around.
Jack, you do realize Newcastle got promoted as well.
Yeah, but like everybody expected that.
Okay, but like still.
I think
Fine.
Brighton coming back is a much bigger deal because they've had this tumultuous fucking history.
Oh, absolutely. But I think Newcastle
And they also do-
right next year.
And they also don't have Rafa Benitez at the helm at Brighton, so it's slightly more surprising.
They've got a communist manager. It's amazing.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into this real quick.
I'm just still buzzing that Portsmouth went up.
When did they get promoted? I want to know all the details. Welcome, found it. Never mind, I have it.
The scenes of the Brighton guys celebrating with their fans on the train back to the city were fucking amazing.
It was amazing.
Although their stadium's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay, going.
We ready? All right, back in 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome back to part 2 of the show, guys. As I mentioned, a couple of teams were promoted into the English Premier League to replace Sunderland and somebody else, guaranteed, as well as that third team from the Prem going down. Those two teams, Newcastle United, who we all expected, currently sitting second in the championship, and perhaps a side we all knew was going to be good and has been competitive in the championship for the last couple of seasons, stirred some things up in the FA Cup. I mean, they crashed out against Arsenal 2 seasons ago, but that happens. Also getting promoted back to the Premier League for the first time since 1983, since it wasn't even the Premier League when they were last in the league. Currently in first place in the championship. They go on and win the really, really cool championship trophy, come back to the Premier League. Very cool storyline there. To give you a little background, like I said, they haven't been in the top flight since 1983. On a couple of occasions, they've been down into the 4th division. They flirted with relegation into the 5th division, into the National Conference. They survived by a couple of points one season, one spot out of that relegation zone. They sold their own ground because they were going through such a financial difficulty. Of course, that's the Goldstone ground. They spent couple seasons playing 70 miles away from Gillingham, which is where the club was based and founded and is returned to. They spent 14 years kind of as this like nomadic club playing in whatever stadium would sign a lease with them for the year. They've changed owners twice and they've had 30 different managers. So there has been no stability in this club since their last flight. But that being said, the last couple seasons, things have gotten better. This year, they have pulled the 15th largest average attendance of all English football clubs. That's pretty incredible considering that they play in the 2nd division. They got close to making the Premier League previous this time. Lost in the semifinals 3 years in a row in the championship playoffs. It's been a crazy, crazy ride. And obviously we saw how much it really meant to these Brighton players celebrating with their fans on the train before they headed home. Andrew, what do you make of this? Like, I want to call them storied, but like What do you make of this well-established club that's like literally been there and back again to the end of the football league, back to the Premier League, making it back up? What do you think about it?
Sure. Well, I mean, in an era when the main storylines of the Premier League seem to be about money, and Chelsea and City having sugar daddy owners, it's kind of I don't want to say a throwback, but it is heartening to see this kind of storyline take place. And I mean, as you said, they've never played in the Premier League proper, and they've skirted bankruptcy on at least one occasion. So I mean, the fact that they have been able to build this core of players is impressive, and I think it'll add a lot to the Premier League. People talk again about plastic clubs and about how the Premier League is just like a money-soaked, fiefdom, and I think it'll add a lot of soul to the Premier League next year. I think they'll stay up next year. I don't know how well they're going to do beyond that. I think Newcastle will do better than they will. I think they're built for the future. But that being said, I think I'm more excited about seeing Brighton in the top flight next year for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I took to Twitter for a bit of a hot take, as we've been known for. I said that Brighton are poised to have a Leicester-esque trip back to the Premier League. I definitely think they're going to be a lot more competitive than clubs that are freshly promoted are routinely. And I know it's the championship, but they still have posted pretty impressive stats. No team in the top 4 leagues of England have boasted more wins at home this season. Brighton has won 16 times when playing in front of their faithful crowd. They also have 4 members on the team that have hit double figures in goal scoring. I know it's the championship, very different. There's question marks about whether these guys are going to be able to get it done. Murray, their one striker and leading goal scorer, comes to mind, scored 30 goals with Crystal Palace, came back into the Premier League, kind of flopped. So, Reed, I guess I'm going to turn it to you. Do you think that Brighton has a decent chance at, maybe finishing in the top half of the table? I don't know. Leicester-esque, I don't know if I meant.
Jack, when you say Leicester-esque, we got to be able to hold you to this prediction.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if they're going to go on to win the Prem, but I think that they could have, like, a Leicester, maybe more of like an RB Leipzig kind of style where they come back in, play really well, finish high up on the table. Am I crazy, Reed? Do you think that there's any chance at that?
Well, for finishing above a Newcastle team that a lot of people were pegging to set a championship points tally record at the start of the season, just because it is a very complete side with a world-class manager. They've done really well, but that's not, 30 years ago, if Brighton lights up the championship or the second division like this and goes into the first division, yeah, they can get top half, but not today, not right now. They have a good core side, so I would really peg Brighton and Newcastle to both stay up after next season. I think they will hopefully become more fixtures in the Premier League, as a lot of people would say they deserve to be. But I think it's that Brighton side's not, they're not going to be like, I don't see them finishing above like the likes of like Stoke and West Brom. They're give them 5 years and they can be, but not yet.
Andrew, do you think that this promotion payment, of course, it's huge with the TV money that has been poured into the league with the new TV deal last summer? Do you think that there is something to be said about championship strikers not being able to do it in the Premier League, and that, I mean, they've been a good defensive side so far in the championship, which is a little rugged. You get tested a lot of long balls in. Do you think that they should be really slashing the cash on, in the attacking third of the pitch, maybe bringing in a new playmaker, a couple strikers, or do you think that they should take more of the Middlesbrough approach and really try to lock down that back line?
Okay, I don't think anyone should be taking anything called the Middlesbrough approach.
Yeah.
When it comes to promotion.
It worked for like most of the season.
It worked. I don't know about that. But yeah, I mean, you make a good point that like how they decide to spend the money this offseason is key, because like a couple of signings for teams like Borough or Sunderland, like I could have lit $10 million on fire and it would have been a better use of money, But then you look at it all depends on the price tag and how they invested. I think in defense, I think is probably the better use of it, because like being a good defensive side in the championship is one thing, but being a good defensive side in the Premier League is another. And if you can achieve the latter feat, of having a good, strong defensive core, you're going to go far. And you got to strike that balance of, they have this strong knit team. I think Brighton they play better as a team together than Newcastle does, even though Newcastle has more raw talent. That's why they're ahead of the table. It's how well they can keep that core together and integrate any new signings they have in there that's going to dictate whether or not they fall on their faces and kind of flop, or whether they fly high and potentially finish in the top half of that table. Because the talent's there. It's just a matter of, of what those signings look like.
Reed, we'll come back to you really quick on this one. The table is currently shaping up. Just 3 fixtures left for their season. We have Reading in 3rd, Huddersfield in 4th, Sheffield Wednesday 5th, Fulham 6th, Leeds United 7. These clubs only separated by 6 points. Of course, only 4 of those 5 will make it into the championship playoff. Of those sides, who would you pick to make it back into the Premier League to go along with Brighton and Newcastle?
I'd love to see Huddersfield go in. Former U.S. international at the helm, born of a U.S. serviceman in Germany. Would be nice to see, but if I had to pick who I think will, I think that Reading side. Well, that Reading side. It's going to be interesting if that. I'm going to cut that. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1. Who I'd like to see? I'd love to see the Huddersfield side go up, because they do have a former U.S. international, born in Germany to a U.S. serviceman at the helm, with Wagner. But I really got to peg Fulham with that. They have this extraordinary goal differential for 6th place, and they're only 6 points off Reading. So it's kind of a false position to think that Reading is so much better than Fulham. And we see it so often in these championship playoff games. It's who can score. It's not really like a Champions League, quarterfinal with Juventus dragging out, over 180 minutes. It's kind of a blitz, and I think that Fulham side have the goal scoring potential within them in a distributed alley that I think they could definitely turn some heads, surprise some people.
Yeah, Fulham scored more goals than anybody else in the championship this season, which I think it would be surprising to a lot of people given the firepower that Rafa Benitez has at Newcastle. Anyways, we're going to take another short break, guys. When we come back, FA Cup returns this weekend. Big semi-final fixtures at Wembley. 2 North London clubs are playing in it, not against one another, but they'll be there. Stick around, and we're going to be talking about some English football when we get back.
Reed, I'm just glad the words Tim Ream did not leave your mouth.
Reed, take out that English football bit, because we were just talking about the championship, which is also English football.
What do you mean?
Like I said, when we come back, I'm going to talk about some English football. So
Yeah.
we were just fucking talking about English football. I think I'm a ditz.
Okay, well.
Thank you. My man.
All right, go into this. I got to pee and also eat.
Okay. Hold on, it's loading. Who plays first? Arsenal and City play first, right? Yeah. At 9. Oh, no, the Spurs plays first. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jack,
all right, Andrew,
Jack,
you go
look at your
first.
Twitter real quick. Jack, look at your Twitter real quick. Jack, look at your Twitter real quick.
Reed, I'm surprised you didn't take Reading because they have Reece Oxford.
Yeah, they do, but they're kind of, that was my first thought, but they're in 3rd, and that's kind of the obvious choice. So I thought I'd go hipster and go with the top goal scorer.
I hate this.
Impressive.
That's why I had to stop, because I was like, oh shit, Fulham has a massive goal differential. I should pick them.
All right, Andrew, we're going to let you go first, and then I'll go, and then we're done. Sorry, Reed, you don't get any input on this FA Cup preview.
I don't want any input.
We're back in 5, 4, 3.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the final segment of the episode. I'm Andrew Ball, and of course, I'm the resident Tottenham Hotspur exit. We're going to do that again.
Four,
For real. In
three.
5, 4, 3, 2. Jack, that's not right. 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the final segment of the episode. I'm Andrew Ball, your resident Tottenham Hotspur expert. Of course, we'll be previewing the FA Cup semifinal on Saturday, Chelsea versus Spurs. On Sunday, Arsenal versus Manchester City. So I am biased, but I think that the more interesting tie comes on Saturday between Chelsea and Spurs. And not just because they're the two best teams in England, but because of the history between these two teams. I mean, you have the Battle of the Bridge last year that put the nail in Tottenham's title chances. And you know that these two teams will be ginned up for this game. Spurs beat Chelsea, ending their unbeaten run back in January. And emotions will be running high at Wembley, where Spurs have not had a whole bunch of success this year. And this is kind of a trajectory-changing game for both teams, even though it's not in the league, because if Spurs win, you kind of got to think that maybe they can creep into Chelsea's head, even though Chelsea had the superior fixture list, the easier fixture list coming down the home stretch. You got to think that a win here by Spurs would kind of just perpetuate that narrative that Spurs are in form, Chelsea are slipping, and Spurs will have something to say in the run-in. So, you know, a lot to be watching for. Spurs still without Danny Rose, which will be a blow in this game, but everyone else should be fit and healthy and good to go. So, you know, it's the FA Cup, lads. All you need is one moment of magic, and here's hoping that Harry Kane can provide that moment of magic. Jack Kelly, though, has some words on Arsenal I think that he would like to add.
Yes, Arsenal, if you will, playing host to City, because Wembley is basically a home game for Arsenal. They get to wear red, which is huge. Arsenal doesn't do well when they wear yellow at Wembley traditionally. I know they beat Villa in the FA Cup final a couple years ago, but it was Villa. This is actually like I'm feeling like okay about the match, which is like not something that happens very often when I watch Arsenal games, because like it's Arsenal. So like I really, really, really think that we're gonna win. Unbelievably. The squad, good fitness levels. I mean, we're missing, you know, people like Santi Cazorla, but like that's been a thing going on forever. I think we're gonna have, you know, Cech is back and well played from that calf injury. And has been playing in the FA Cup this year. Ospina was really only the Champions League goalkeeper, so I'm expecting Cech to play. We'll have Mustafi and Koscielny. We'll have Bellerin. We'll have Monreal. I think Xhaka has looked a lot better recently, playing that more defensive role, but still, you know, doing a good job distributing. Coughlin will be available. Ramsey's looked okay. And then, I mean, like, anytime that you have Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil on the pitch, but especially Alexis Sanchez, who loves Wembley. I mean, I think back to, you know, the Community Shield that we played in. I also think to the cracker that he scored in the FA Cup final against Villa. Like, anytime you've got Alexis Sanchez on the pitch, like, he's arguably going to be the best player on the field, and that gives you the opportunity to win. City, on the other hand, I don't know. They've been good. I mean, they were dominant against Southampton last weekend. They beat a whole City side. But before that, I mean, they lost to Chelsea. They drew Arsenal. Everybody forgets we played very recently. I don't know. I think that we have a shot at this one. And I think City should be a little anxious, because I think there's a lot more pressure on them than there is on Arsenal, because, I mean, if they lose this game, they could very well, you know, that could torpedo their season. They could drop out of the top 4, and the whole Guardiola experiment would fail. So I don't know. I like Arsenal in this one. I think it's going to be an all North London affair in the final.
That'd be fun. That would be an interesting podcast.
It'd be friendship ruining.
Yeah, this is also true. I mean, we already have to get through one North London derby before season's out. Like, two might be too much.
Yeah, it wouldn't be great.
Although
Uh,
I have to say, Jack, I think Cannavaro and Kevin De Bruyne would like a word about the Alexis Sanchez being the best player in the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, Sanchez is just so like transformative. I mean, think about what he like. Arsenal will be shit, and then he single-handedly will win them games in the Premier League.
You can't argue with that.
There's a bit of a team effort for City most of the time.
Which hasn't always gone well for City.
Also, City's back line I think is inferior to Arsenal's. So like,
Oh yeah, I think that's true. Unless Arsene goes with the three at the back that he went with on Monday.
yeah, hopefully not.
I don't know that would go well against City.
Hopefully not. I think Spurs Chelsea is very interesting though, because these are by far the two most complete teams that we have on all of the British Isles. So I think it's unfortunate that they did not get to play in the final in some ways, because it would have made for the best matchup perhaps. But I mean, storyline wise, like a North London derby FA Cup final is way more fun than it would be Spurs versus Chelsea.
I 100% agree. Definitely rooting for a North London final.
Anyways, guys, that's all the time that we have for today. Reed has already left us off to do his thing. We don't really know why. But Andrew, where can they find you on the social, as Reed likes to refer to it?
They can find me at Andrew Ball, BAHL.
Of course, guys, you can find me on Twitter at Jack Kelly. I am actually Jack Kelly after all. Don't forget to follow the show at Point to the Spot with the number 2, Point to the Spot. We really love to engage with people on Twitter. Send us your questions there. We'll talk about it on the show. Let us know what you think of today's episode. And make sure that you check out our partners, AmericanEPLThoughts.com. If us talking doesn't get it done for you, you can check out the great writing that Travis and the gang do over there. For now, though, that's all the time that we have. Thank you all very much for listening, and have a great weekend.